Welcome to Creatives on Camera, the podcast for makers, artists, and crafters who are ready to show up in their online teaching businesses with more confidence so they can really connect with and serve their students. Today's episode is a powerful one. I'm joined by Shirlee Engel, a former Canadian national TV reporter and founder of Camera Confident, where she teaches business owners how to show up on video with purpose and presence. In this conversation, we explore what it really means to be magnetic and authentic on camera, and how you don't have to change who you are or become someone you're not to connect meaningfully with your audience. But what makes this episode especially valuable is where our conversation goes next, using AI tools to save time in your business. Shirlee and I talk about how to use AI for brainstorming new ideas when you're stuck, turning those ideas into newsletters, scripts, social posts, organizing your content effectively, and most importantly, how to make sure your content stays true to your voice and your values. We're not talking about generic robotic content. We're talking about authentic messaging, guided by your own creative spark and supported by tools that help you do more with less time. So if you've been wondering how to create with less overwhelm and still feel like you, this episode is packed with ideas you can use right away. Let's get started. Hello, Shirlee. It is so good to have you here. I am so pleased that you've agreed to come and chat with us.
Of course.
You are the CEO of everything at Camera Confident. I would love to hear your journey, how you started, your background as a journalist, and how you came to the business that you're running right now.
Yeah. So my very first career was actually in an advertising, marketing, and communications department at a big media company. So I was working on promos, which is basically like 15 to 30-second spots to advertise shows on HGTV, Life Network, which it's not called anymore, and a bunch of other channels, History Channel. So I really got a diverse look at different channels, but my background and my training was in journalism. So I became a volunteer reporter and I worked my way up from the humble beginnings of operating the camera, editing, being on camera, doing all the things, all the way up to Parliament Hill in Ottawa, Canada. So I became a national correspondent. And I worked as a journalist for more than 15 years and then came to a point where I knew it was time to move on. That's a whole other story, which I won't get into. But I ended up working in executive communications and never quite found what I really wanted to do. So I ended up starting a business during COVID, as so many people did, an interior design business, which was a passion of mine as well. And through getting visible in that business and quickly scaling that business to six figures just by getting on TV, getting on stages, social media, people started asking me, how are you so confident? How do you make videos? And so I started kind of teaching on the side, and it evolved into the business that I have today, which is helping entrepreneurs really develop that magnetic on-camera presence. And it's not just confidence, it's also magnetism. And then that in itself is one thing, but you also have to know how to tell stories on video. And that just takes me back right to the beginning, which is promoting things on video.
When you say magnetism, what do you mean by that? What does that mean to you?
The camera, you often hear the camera adds 10 pounds and all of those things. The camera also sucks your personality. It's very hard to it's not natural to speak into a lens. I mean, let's face it. It's not like speaking to a person. Even as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm actually looking at the lens, not at you, which is really weird. But if I look at you, then I lose that connection. It's kind of the equivalent of looking at someone's chest when you're talking to them. So you have to lock eyes with that screen, with that lens, but then that also makes you lose a little bit of that connection. So magnetism is about capturing that essence of being in a real life conversation and being able to connect with someone through a lens in a way that feels as dynamic as if you were in person. So it is a skill. It's not like you either have it or you don't. You can develop it, and you can actually develop it faster and more easily than a lot of people think.
Right. Our audience are creatives and makers and people who are often established teachers. They have been working with rooms full of students. They have been lecturing on stage for years, often. No problem. No lack of confidence whatsoever. And then you turn on a camera and something disappears, something happens. What do you say to, when you work with your people, what's the first thing that you help them with when they get this huge freeze once the camera turns on?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and this is an immediate shift that anybody can make right away, is a lot of people make this mistake that when they go on camera, they imagine themselves speaking to a big crowd. And, even if you're comfortable with crowds in person, having that camera and not having that feedback of the people watching you, which sometimes energizes a lot of speakers in person, there's nobody there. It's just you and the lens. And so you can really get into your head. So an immediate switch that I recommend everybody makes is stop trying to speak to a bunch of people. Speak to one person, and not just one person, stranger person, a person that you know. So picture your spouse, your partner, one of you, like a child, a best friend, a client, a student, anybody that you actually know. And that immediately will shift how you carry yourself, how you speak, because you already have that rapport. And you have to come to the camera with that rapport already, because you don't have the time to establish it. You need to come to the camera with that already in place. So that's the biggest thing I would say. And then the other thing is what I just talked about with eye contact, because a lot of people are hesitant to make that eye contact. And especially when you're teaching online through a platform like Zoom, or you're having a webinar, you're having a meeting, your tendency is to look at the people in the room, so to speak. But they don't experience it that way on the other end if you're looking at them. You have to look at the lens, which takes some adjustment, but it is also going to instantly make you more magnetic because you're actually making eye contact.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I often tell my people to take their window on their computer and squish it up really small right at the top, because it's a huge shift to not look at the person you're talking to and look up at where the camera is.
And I would add as well, if you're doing social media content or anything where you're filming content on a phone, the automatic tendency is to look at yourself, right? And then that turns into a bit of that narcissist kind of thing where, you're looking at yourself and you're so kind of like either hating what you see or loving what you see or anywhere in between, and you completely lose that connection. So it's a little bit of a mind hack, but don't look at yourself. Again, look at the lens, or better yet, flip the camera around so you don't have that opportunity to look at yourself and fall into the, into the water, so to speak. You are completely focused on the lens. So that's another thing that a lot of people trip up, because it wasn't until either smartphones or the COVID experience where we all had to go online that we even saw ourselves speaking. You're not supposed to see yourself speaking. Right? In real life, you don't know what you look like. You just interact. But with all of this technology, we have such access to ourselves in a way that can really get us in our heads.
I absolutely agree. Turn the camera around, get a remote, do something. Just don't look at yourself, look at the camera.
Yeah.
It is a hard thing. And bringing up that energy, bringing up that magnetism, as you call it. At the same time, we as teachers, and often one of the things, and I'm sure you agree with me, one of the things I tell my students, my colleagues who are teaching, is that it's really not about us, right? They're looking at us, sure, fine, but it's not about us. And if we get out of our own heads, because we're our worst critic, right? And our students are not.
Oh yeah, no, and even though I've been doing this for more than 2 decades, I still get in my head about stuff. Especially I think in today's day and age where there's so much AI out there and there's so much polish and perfection, which coming from the background that I come from, I mean, you didn't put raw stuff out there. You didn't, it was all about polish in the broadcast industry, whereas now it actually is better to be more authentic, which can feel very vulnerable because you're exposing parts of yourself that maybe you didn't really expect to, vulnerabilities, maybe insecurities, things like that. So, especially with going live and all kinds of experiences that a lot of people have never had, it can really be intimidating. But the more authentic you are, actually, the more effective you are, especially today.
Especially, like you said, because of AI. We are wondering all the time, is that real? Is it not real? And being real is super important. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you originally is because you have talked a lot about using AI in your business.
Yes.
And we're both on screen. The people I work with are artists and creators, so the thought of mixing AI with a creative business, often artists, the first thought is absolutely not, no way. I do not want a machine stealing or creating art and calling it real. I would love to hear your take on this and some of the ways that you are using AI in your business to help streamline it. How are you using it ethically?
Yeah. Oh, such a great question. So the first rule of thumb is you never take an AI output and just copy and paste. I mean, that's absolutely number one. I use multiple AI platforms to even come up with a single post. I workshop between platforms because some of them are better than others. I want to refine, I want to get the best possible outcome. But at the same time, when it comes to video, I never read anyway. So it's not possible for AI to completely overtake what I'm saying because my approach to scripting and to public speaking on video is to use bullet points and to use concepts. So AI is really great at helping you synthesize information. And it's not that you're letting the machine do it for you, but you are being more efficient. You are compressing time so you can do more in less time. The people who are not embracing AI are going to be left behind. They're already left behind because AI is I mean, it's no longer the secret, but it was for a long time. It's the way to produce content at scale. I don't care how purist you want to be, how much you want to stay away from AI. There is no way you will be able to produce the amount of content necessary to keep up in today's online space, the online marketing space, unless you're using it. And so it's about using it for the right things in the right way. And as you talked about, ethically. So what does that look like? That looks like strategic planning. So helping you map out your content, helping you take your ideas and organize them, helping you brainstorm because you might have a fabulous idea, but can you turn that into 10 ideas really well? Or maybe you have a great idea for a post, but is your hook, the way that you pull people in, is it as sharp as it could be? Could you ask for 10, 20 alternatives? Could you repurpose the same pieces of content across other platforms and change just little things about it? Imagine all the hours you would spend doing that manually. It's just not, it not only is it not efficient, but it's just not going to have you keep up with the pace of things in today's business space. And it really is about helping, it's about supporting you, it's about taking longer pieces of content and cutting it up into smaller pieces. That's not AI putting words in your mouth, that's AI being smart and grabbing the best of what you already said and making it smaller, shorter, more digestible. So there's lots of different ways to do it, but I think those who don't embrace it are really missing out on a crucial tool.
I happen to agree. I fell down the AI rabbit hole several months ago and have not emerged yet. I keep going deeper. So walk us through, say a teacher has a lesson plan. They're going to teach one specific content. They need to create a tutorial video for say, an on-demand workshop. Give me a walkthrough of how you can use AI to use that one piece of content you're making and let AI help you leverage it.
And just to clarify, is this like an internal exercise or is there like a social media marketing aspect to this? Because that's another thing, is it can be used in so many different contexts.
Well, personally, both.
Okay,
For
great.
me, I
Okay.
will create a video tutorial and then leverage that content everywhere.
Glad
So
you said that.
tell me how AI can help.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say is that there has been a reluctance from a lot of creators, creative people. The knowledge-based economy, as we know it, has completely changed. Knowledge is not only cheap, it's free. So a lot of people that felt they had to gatekeep information inside their programs, inside what they teach, that fear, right now, everybody's putting content out there. So it's not about the actual knowledge that you're imparting. It's about how you are implementing. It's about the support. It's about how you show people, what do I do with this knowledge? What do I do with this? So that's where you're going to shine online. Going to your question about how you would use I think depending on how you start, what I like to do is brainstorm. So the first stage is I have this lesson or module or whatever it is. I want to teach XYZ, and you just brain dump it out. And sometimes I find typing it out takes me a long time. So I'll just hit the microphone on ChatGPT and I'll just talk. I want to teach this. I wanted to cover this. What am I missing? Right? Because there may be aspects to it that you didn't think about. Or what are some additional, things that I can teach? What are some examples? Just have it brainstorm with you. And then I'll ask it to create an outline, and it will give me the outline, and then you workshop that. You see it, maybe you don't love item number 2, or maybe you want to move things around. Just treat it like a colleague, like a brainstorming partner. And then what I would do is ask it to put it into a script. And depending on your comfort level with speaking, I know some people like to use teleprompters. I'm not a teleprompter person, and I always encourage people to just rip off the Band-Aid, take off the training wheels. It's going to become a crutch for you. So don't use a teleprompter. If you have to, we understand. So instead of having it give you the exact verbatim script, ask it to give you a script outline. And where you really want to concentrate is what I call the top and the tail, the beginning and the ending, because you have to nail that first 30 seconds to really bring the person in. Even if it's in a course that you've already got people in, you still need to keep them interested. Tell them why they need to watch. What are they going to learn? And then I would refine with AI to get that first 30 seconds to be really compelling. And maybe you memorize that because you want to get the words out well so that you can really get into it. And then the rest of it, what I like to do is, especially if it's not a live situation, I won't record it all in one bit, because if you mess up 2 minutes in, then you have to go back and start again? So film it in bits, right? So I have my first concept and I'm like, okay, I read it, I think about it, and then I turn on the camera and I start talking, and then I stop. And then I go to the next part and the next part, because people are forgiving. They don't mind if they can tell there's an edit. And then as far as repurposing it, then I would be uploading that video into an AI platform that can chop it up into smaller pieces and repurpose that all over social media all day long.
So are you uploading the actual video and having AI chop out bits of the video?
Yes. So there's some really great platforms and new ones coming out every day. I like to use one called Opus Clip. You can upload a whole long format video, press a button, and it'll give you not only smaller videos, but also rank them. Like, this is 99% like the best one, and when you click on them, you notice that like the best ones go first. So it doesn't just spit out a bunch of videos and you're like, okay, where do I start? It actually ranks them for you in order of like, you should really start with this one. Another platform that I use a lot for editing is called CapCut, and that has a lot of that AI functionality already baked into it. I was already using Opus Clips, so I haven't done a ton in CapCut with the AI cutting things up, but that's a whole other kind of one-stop shop.
Yeah, I use CapCut a lot.
Yeah.
And it does, once you have edited your long form, it will bring up 5 or 6 short forms. Usually 2 of them are terrible and 4
Yeah.
of them are amazing.
So that's why I really like Opus Clip, because I find that, because even on the platform we're recording on right now, Riverside,
Hmm.
there is an ability to, they call it magic AI clips, and
Right.
they have been terrible, terrible, like not usable. So I have spent a lot of time, because it's my line of work, really going into different platforms, testing them out, and really making sure that the outputs are higher quality, because that saves you time as well.
Right. It absolutely does. And I love the ability to move everything and to reuse it. So when I get a long video script, I'll have the captions or the transcript and then say create an article for my membership. Out of that article, create 4 paragraph short tips that will go in a newsletter each week. And out of that, give me 20 social media captions. And then you go in and edit them, of course, right? But it's amazing, like you said, exactly how much time it can save and all of that in between process.
Hmm. And at the time of this recording, just the other day, Canva, the graphic design platform, released a whole suite of AI tools that I haven't even had a chance to try yet. And one of the biggest issues that I and many, many others had with Canva is if you had a post or a carousel or something you wanted to put on social media, and it was in portrait, and then you wanted it in a different aspect ratio or a different format, you had to like resize it and start a new file, and you had like 20 tabs, and it was really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've created a whole platform where you can create a presentation, a social media plan, like all in one project,
In one file.
one file. And
Oh,
like
with
this is,
different aspect ratios. That's
yes,
huge.
blew my mind. I don't have any feedback yet on what it's like or how to best use it. That is something I am going to be totally nerding out on in the next few weeks.
I can tell
So,
what I'm going to be doing too,
stay
because we
tuned.
do
Yeah.
that as well. Create a
Yes.
thumbnail for the video, and then you have to go copy it and create a square format for
Yes.
social media, and then short covers for reels and things. And also, it wasn't, I mean, it would resize the files, but it wouldn't fill them. I mean, you'd have to go move everything around. So
Exactly.
this will be interesting. If it
Oh,
works, this is going to be fabulous.
and again, going back to our earlier conversation, if you're not using this stuff, you're not going to be able to produce content at scale the way that everyone else is. And so it's critical to keep up with some of these updates. I know a lot of people are either intimidated by AI or they're like, I don't want to use it, I won't be authentic. But look at all the ways we're discussing that have nothing to do with intruding on your authenticity or your voice. These are just practical ways to do more in less time.
Right. And you can talk into it and have it use your words and the cadence and the things that you use. Also, if you've done writing, I have, well, 25 years worth of blog posts on my website,
Hmm.
and pointing it towards that, or, almost as long essays in my newsletter that I copied and pasted. You can teach AI your voice. And also, this is one thing that took me a while to learn, because I don't know why I didn't ask this, but ask AI to teach you how to use it.
Yes,
Ask AI, how can you better help? What other ways can you help me make
yes,
this easier and faster in my business?
yes, absolutely. And then never mind the whole aspect of automating the process itself. This is something that I'm just learning now, which is, yes, you want to use AI to create the content, and I want this here and I want that here. But what about pulling from other sources and taking data and turning that into something visual in a completely automated way that you don't even have to press a button. It just does it. There's so many ways to, especially coming from a journalism background, when you're creating content, are there timely events in the national discourse or in the news or just in popular culture that you could be tapping into to get people interested? Because people like timely content. Obviously, you want evergreen content, but it's also great to mix in some current events kind of content. So the other day, I was seeing someone who was teaching how to create almost like an AI journalist that will like know what's going on and pull it in. And I mean, there's just so many places to go. I think it's more figuring out how to not use it all. I think that's one of the problems that you and I have is like we just want to know all of it, right? And I think so that's another thing is that everyone's using AI, but I think there's an even more pressing demand for people who can help people optimize it and use it in a way that doesn't take up hours learning this only to realize there's a better thing here and oh another thing came out, do I need to learn that? Like so will always be a human element to making sense of all of this, right? And also just knowing what do you need, what do you not need, because they all cost money and it
Exactly.
can add up fast.
It can absolutely add up fast. I tell my students, my colleagues, fellow teachers often that if you already are on a platform, just use it until it won't work anymore. So far, I am only using ChatGPT and Claude because I don't have time to go explore all the different AI platforms. I spend my time exploring all the different video tech, different
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
right?
it's true. And just because something else that's slicker comes along, if you've got what's working for you, then why change? I think especially with ChatGPT, the other day I saw a notification that it now learns you even better and remembers even more. So if you spent like a year working on ChatGPT, it has a whole library of your knowledge of your interactions that if you go and start cold on a brand new platform, and this happened to me when I went to Claude because I was curious about Claude, and I was like, wait a second, everyone says Claude writes so well. It doesn't have a clue because my custom GPT that I had trained just knows me so well. So there is time kind of onboarding your AI as well, right?
Absolutely. I found that I didn't get anything useful out of it at all, either of them, until after I had trained it. And it doesn't have to take a long time. You can use AI to create training documents for
Yes.
other AI. I used ChatGPT, that chat feature. I take it on walks with me and call it Jarvis.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And we just, I'm a verbal processor,
yeah,
so
me too.
bouncing ideas off of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told it everything I could about myself, about my accomplishments, my likes, my dislikes, my weaknesses, my strengths. And over a week or so, had it come up with a personality, work, whatever profile.
Ooh.
And it that I can create a document with and put it into other AIs so that they can more quickly learn that. And also had it come up with a really long description of my voice
Hmm.
so that I could put that into other AIs. If you're working with teams, have each of your team members do this
Yes.
and keep those documents in a shared Google Drive or something like that so everybody can upload it and work together. And that was an interesting thing because then you could come back and say, this is my assistant and their personality profile and mine. How best should we work together?
Ooh, that's good. That's really good.
Right.
And I think also just even things like human design. Everybody's talking about human design. Ask it to, tell it to ask you the questions that it needs to ask you to be able to do whatever personality type or whatever you're interested in, whatever you're looking at. Getting it to explain things to you is really good. And for me, a big thing that I'm always talking about with my clients is being more conversational because a lot of professionals, a lot of entrepreneurs come to me and they have what I like to call like LinkedIn speak. So I ask them, give me your elevator pitch. And then I'm like asleep by the time they're finished because that's not how people talk. So one thing that I always tell AI when it gives me an output, and I was asking it to give me something yesterday, and I said, tell it to me like I'm in fifth grade. They're like, make it more conversational. Say it like you were telling me over a beer or over coffee. You can say things like that. Like if it gives you an output, and the biggest tip that I have for people is read it, especially if you're going to say it on video, read it out loud first. Because if you're tripping over the same section two or three times, it's got to go. You can't use that because it's going to trip you up. It's going to make you nervous. And then you're, oh, I forgot the like fourth and fifth word. And then you get in your head. All of these things are so important. We just need to talk like we talk to other humans. And then it's just so much easier. And it doesn't mean a lot of people mistake that like, oh, well, I don't want to dumb it down. It's not dumbing it down. It's just how people actually speak.
Right. And this is a side trip for my teachers. You don't need to do this, but you can ask it to have conversations with you in different voices, or, say, I'm feeling really snarky today. Be brutally honest, pretend you're Mr. T, do whatever, and have it just come back at me in different ways. And it loosens you up, and it's
Yes,
just hilarious. It is so much fun.
absolutely. But you can also go down some rabbit holes.
Right? Let's stay focused. Let's get back on target here,
Yeah,
right?
like the new social media, right? Like, I don't no longer go down Instagram rabbit holes. I go down ChatGPT rabbit holes.
Right. But we are business people here.
Yes.
We do need to stay focused.
Yes.
We do need to work on our businesses. So, what are some of your organization workflows? I think sometimes when we're not familiar with it, we don't realize that with these AI tools, I do so much copy and pasting. So, pull stuff out into a document, edit it, pull it back in, and then you keep your final verbiage, your final scripts, your final bullet point outlines, not in AI.
Yeah.
Tell me how you work it.
That's a really excellent point because a lot of people are getting overwhelmed by the fact that ChatGPT doesn't really have a very good way to organize your past conversations. I'm sure this is going to come at some point. But what I do is I've actually developed a tool that my students use inside my program. It's called the Storytelling Studio Engine. And what it does is we are pulling AI into this platform to be able to work ChatGPT inside a spreadsheet. So you're not going back and forth, and then you can have hyperlinks to documents. So it's keeping everything organized in one place. Because one of the biggest things about content creation is if you want to be efficient and you want to be consistent, you have to batch produce. And it's really hard to it's great. You can tell AI, come up with a 30-day content plan for me. Great. Awesome. How do you get that off the page and not have to yo-yo between platforms? So one of the things I really got totally geeked out on was figuring out, well, how do I bring the AI and take some of the methods that I use to help people really develop their messaging and bring it all into one place. And so that's what we've done. And just this year we've released it, and it is really blowing my mind because one of the things I love to do is what is the problem that I have that I want to solve as a content creator? And chances are, if it solves the problem for me, it's going to be something that will solve the problem for a lot of other people. So I think having a tool or a way to bring it all into one central place. And, there's multiple ways to do this, and depending on how you like to create content and, how you want to organize your information. But I think that's a way that really is going to be a game changer for keeping everything streamlined for you and keeping it all in your head. And there are a lot of companies that are hard at work creating these types of solutions. I mean, I think Canva came up with something similar. Again, I haven't tried it, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what they do because, I think people are like, well, I have a Google spreadsheet, and then I have ChatGPT, and then I have Claude, and then I have this, and how do I up? And then I have Later or Metricool, or, I mean, there's so many things. And, we're all entrepreneurs. There are people seeing opportunity in how to take this and make it simple. And I think that's the key, is that it's great to have all these tools, but if you get overwhelmed trying to put them all together or use them or jump between them, you're not going to use them, or you're not going to post.
So you have a platform that integrates AI. Did that involve coding, or was
Yes.
it? Oh my
And
goodness. Okay,
I
I'm
don't code.
out.
I don't code, but guess who coded for me? Claude.
AI.
AI. So I'm using AI to create an AI powered platform that takes all of my teachings and all of my frameworks and puts them all in one place. And so, again, going back to, I know, right? Going back to, oh no, AI's coming for my job. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's giving me even more to work with because I think people are realizing that nobody wants to, like, a lot of people don't want to have to create this themselves. Like, even me, I'm like, give me a platform and I'll pay to use it. I just wanted someone to give me something that's going to work. So, depending on what your niche is and what you teach, there's also a ton of opportunity. I saw some big influencers refer to this as the AI gold rush. There is so much business opportunity right now in using AI. And the people who are fearful of it and kind of shrink away from it are the ones who are, like I said, going to get left behind because there are so many ways to use this to create new businesses, augment your existing business. If you're not using AI in your business in some way, I would question, did you really think about it deeply enough? Go to ChatGPT and ask it. How can I use AI in this business?
Right. And then let's circle back around to the authenticity part.
Yes.
We use AI as a business assistant, as something to compress all of the time that we would have taken otherwise to do all of those things that we've just talked about. Let's circle back to then showing up for our people as our real selves. I was laughing when you were talking about stumbling over words and cutting that part out. I just leave them in because that's part of my, I get words wrong constantly. Mm-hmm. They don't connect between my brain and my mouth. And I just laugh and move on and leave them in because nobody can replicate that about me, and my students don't care. They laugh with me because I'm laughing first, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was less about cutting out the ums and ahs and more about, oh, I have a whole pivot now to another topic. And I want to take a second and just look at my notes and synthesize the information in my head, maybe practice it out loud a little bit.
Right.
That's where I would stop. I don't cut out my screw ups either. I was doing a live training the other week and I got kicked off my own call. And, somebody could have been like, oh my God, what? I came on and I just laughed. I'm like, you're all still here. Don't you love technology? I've
Right.
messed up dates. I've messed up names. You name it. I totally agree. I think, and I'll bet AI is going to start doing that too. Like trying to pretend that, they're like people are creating avatars of themselves and there's all kinds of stuff, deep fakes and there's some creepy stuff going on there. So, I mean, I think to me, I think humans have those instincts. We can tell when something is fake. We can tell, even if it's the best imitation, there's just this, even if it's subconsciously, you just know something's off. Something just doesn't feel right. And I think that the more we can be our authentic selves, for me, it's recording when I don't have makeup on or recording when, my kid comes into the shot and I'm like, oh, sorry, or just random moments in your life that you don't always, or you thought nobody's going to care about this. I'm making lunch. For some reason, people love videos of people eating. I don't know why. It's like a thing.
Some people love those.
I don't know. I was listening to something the other day and it was like all these viral examples of people. Like, I think there's someone on TikTok who just eats burgers on camera. That's all they do. Not suggesting we do that. But I think it's just about showing your real life in its rawness. And I think there is a tendency for some people to overdo it. Like, I think you still need a healthy balance of showing your real self, but then also showing up as the leader that you are. And so that balance is different for everyone. But I think showing a little bit of that human side is critical as well right now, for sure.
Right. And a maker and a teacher is, you have to be centered on your audience and what you have to teach and what they need from you.
Exactly.
If you center that at every video you make, every message that you send out, you think of your people and think, how can I help them today? How can I serve my people? That takes yourself out of the equation as well. So you don't have to be all stage fright or imposter syndrome, which, by the way, everybody experiences,
Everybody. Absolutely.
right? Absolutely everybody. And you can just choose to move on.
Yeah, no
Just,
matter what level of success you reach, I mean, it doesn't go away. It just comes back in a different form, right? You get to that next level of success, and then you feel that imposter syndrome. Oh, is this going to go away? Was this a fluke? Or, oh, do they actually believe? Or you get in front of bigger audiences. And so I think a lot of people think, oh, I just have to get over my imposter syndrome. Well, newsflash, when you get over this version of it, you'll encounter another version of it, because if you're growing and you're sort of moving along a trajectory and you're making progress, it's going to come back at the next stage, at the next challenge, the next plateau, right?
right. And there's always going to be a student who knows more than you.
Of
And that
course.
doesn't matter. They're not the ones who showed up
Right.
to serve and teach and make the lives of their students easier and
Yes,
happier and more creative, right?
absolutely.
Right. So, as we wrap up, tell me one thing that is just lighting you up in your business right now.
Ooh, so when I left journalism, what I really wanted to do was help people tell stories on video. And I think with social media, there's been a little bit of a frustration for storytellers like me and others who feel like, well, Instagram's all about just like slap a caption, shoot some quick video of you typing on a computer and call it a day. So, what I'm super excited about is helping entrepreneurs come up with what's called a sizzle reel, which is the unique brand trailer for your business. So, imagine like you want to go see a movie. Unless you really know the stars or you've heard rave reviews about it, you want to see the trailer. You want to see like a preview of what it's about. So the about 2 weeks ago, I ran a challenge with a bunch of entrepreneurs who created these unique videos, and it was just such an incredible experience and really brought me back to my roots and why I do what I do. It's not just about showing up and being magnetic, it's also about telling stories that connect, that compel people into action, that really tell stories and create connection. And so I'm really excited about that because we're doing a lot of really fun things with that right now, both online and in person, and that is just something that has always lit me up. It's what I've been doing my whole career. So I'm just really excited to do more of that and help more entrepreneurs create those incredible videos, because they're not just for social media. They're for all aspects of your marketing. It's like the one video that you need to market yourself. And it's not the one that's necessarily going to go viral. It might, chances are it probably won't, but it's the one video that I would argue is the most important one you will ever make. And so
It,
I'm super excited about that.
I hope you're doing this challenge again because teachers need to have a meet the teacher. This is who I
Yes.
am. This is what I'm about. This is
Yeah.
why I teach. This is what I teach. But not a long, boring, let
No.
me tell you everything I teach. Sizzle reel? That sounds fantastic.
Yes, it's a movie trailer. It's basically the brand trailer for your business. And I can tell you when I put this out, I mean, the response was absolutely overwhelming. I still have people asking me, "Oh, when are you doing it again?" People just love this idea because I think people are craving the ability to tell their stories without the constraints of like, oh, well, you need the this and you need this and it has to be 15 seconds and da da da, and you're boring people and you have 2 seconds to get their attention, and you're kind of like, whoa, I just want to like talk about what I do, and I don't want to have to do it in this like roundabout, ooh, but don't sell because then you're being icky, but you want to share your gifts with the world. Why would you be doing this otherwise? So how do you do it in a way that doesn't come across as like, you know, the greasy snake oil salesman, but tell people what you do and not be afraid to invite them to join you. So I think it's like the ultimate way to do that. And again, the response has been overwhelming. So it wasn't just me that thought it was a cool idea. So that is going to be a huge focus for me, and I'm really excited because I think it's something that just gets a lot of people really excited, and especially given all the uses for these types of videos.
Right. You are going to do it again, right?
Absolutely. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Yes.
Where can people find that? Where can people find you, Shirley?
So the best place to find me is on YouTube, at Shirlee Engel, Shirley with two E's. And I guess we can link that in the show
Yeah,
notes. And
we'll have everything down there.
that is a place that you want a trailer, right? Anybody who has a YouTube channel, which is such a fabulous platform for teachers, because you get to actually get out there and get a sentence out. People will watch a 10, 20, 30 hour long video on YouTube, and, there's ad revenue, there's all kinds of areas. So YouTube is going to be a huge focus for me, and it's going to be my primary platform going forward. And I'm excited to really dive into that.
Excellent. Well, we will definitely have all the places where people can find you in the show notes. Your business is
Camera Confident.
Camera Confident. You can find that online. It's fantastic. I'm going to sign up for the next sizzle reel thing.
Excited.
It will be super fun.
Yes.
I mean, yes. Every teacher needs a sizzle reel. Let's just
Every
that way.
business owner needs a sizzle reel.
Great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us and to share your passion and your knowledge and the insider insights that you have with AI and with speaking on camera with our audience.
Thank you so much for having me, Lyric. This was really fun.
All right. Take care, Shirlee.
You too.